Okay, okay, we are live finally. Good to be here. Welcome to Monday, everyone. Mondays are a special day. They're definitely a special day. They kind of make you miss the weekend, and it kind of signals to your brain that okay, we got to get the damn thing done this week. But welcome to Monday, everyone. We're just going to give everybody some time to get in. Again, we're doing the multi-stream, so if you see me looking that way, it's not that I'm not paying attention to you. We're actually streaming to YT, FB, and of course, right here. So, what are we talking about today? You know what? Let me rephrase that. Is today the day? I think that's the question that we have to ask ourselves. Is today the day? If you have been suffering through narcissistic abuse, you're starting to get an inkling that that's what this is. Hey, what's up, Rocket Man Hero? If you are suffering through the trauma bond, it's like, okay, here, let me see if my buddy is going to come on. I don't know. She might be doing something super important. Everybody's doing something super important. And my fingers are not working today. I don't know what's wrong with me. But anywho, so you know, today is the day. I think I talked about it. It's like one of those crazy lines that I heard in one of my favorite shows back in the day, Terminator: The Sarah Connor Chronicles, where John actually, I forgot her name. I think her name was Ashley or something. But anywho, he sits up there and he knows deep down inside that she's the bad one. She is the bad seed. Um, she is the one that is bringing so much chaos into his life. And now that I'm thinking about it, was this not narcissistic abuse? She presented herself as something that she wasn't. She manipulated him. She got in the way of his progress. Wow, this was now that I think about it, this was definitely narcissistic abuse. But in any event, he wants her to come clean. He wants her to take accountability. Um, so he says to her, he says, before we go any further, you know, today is the day. There is no other day. Today is the day. And we find ourselves when we're dealing with narcissistic abuse, we find ourselves asking ourselves that very question where we've already started to see through the mask. We're starting to understand what we have been tolerating, what we've been dealing with. We start to understand the confusion, and then that question we have to ask ourselves. Whether you haven't gotten out yet, whether you have gotten out, whether you're going through the trauma bond, you have to ask yourself, is today the day? Is today the day that you stop making excuses for them? Is today the day that you stop walking on eggshells? Is today the day that you no longer allow your boundaries to be eroded? Is today the day that you decide to finally reclaim the greatness that is within you? Is today the day? And that's a question that we must ask ourselves, especially when we're dealing with this, especially if we think it's spiritual warfare, especially if we value our peace. We have to ask ourselves, is today the day? I build courses, I build systems. Yesterday we gave out a grand total, I think, of 55 of the Trauma Bond Self-Check resource to people that were interested in figuring this out. People that were interested in figuring out, am I in a trauma bond? I think each and every one of those people already knew the answer. And the answer, again, I tell you this each and every time, the answer is very difficult to deal with. But we go back to that question that we have to ask ourselves. Is today the day? Is today the day that you stop selling your very identity to hold on to something that is literally not there? When we find ourselves in the trauma bond, we find ourselves in this state of emotional chaos that we've never experienced. Yes, I understand the trauma as an empath, the trauma that we have gone through as a little one. You know, we thought that was the worst thing possible. However, we have dedicated our lives to loving people, helping people get through things, helping people get regain balance. And oftentimes we do that without thinking about ourselves. Empaths are very giving. They have always been giving. This is the reason why your higher power put you here, for you to continue to give, to continue to help people heal. But how can you do that if you are not healed yourself? I get it. This was something that you never expected in your whole lifetime. You never expected that the person that you had given everything inside of you to, the person that you did nothing but try to help, the person that you did nothing literally but try to love as hard as you could, and this person became your biggest ally, your biggest enemy. You weren't expecting this. You weren't. And you kept on trying through the emotional chaos that went through your mind every day. Through every time you tried to let them know how you was feeling, they just dismissed you and pushed you away, or sometimes even devalued you. You didn't expect this, and what you did was you said, "I'm going to keep on trying. I can love them harder, and they will understand," because through most of your life, this is what you have experienced. When you show people that you care, when you show people that they are seeing, you seem to be able to fix things, turn things around. This is not only your gift, but you just found out now that this is your curse. Because you have this person here, you have this person that has no intent to do anything else but to dim that light. They have decided at some point after the first conversation with them, they have decided that I will destroy you. Isn't that hard to deal with? Isn't that something that hurts you to your very core? Even now, as you have seen through the masking, you're trying to say, how am I going to get out of this? But as I've been saying for the last week, that's just the beginning. Walking out the door is a wonderful start. Freeing yourself, detaching from this demonic spirit, this evil spirit, is a wonderful first start. But the trials and the tribulations have just begun. And many people have found themselves right here in this very predicament. You're soon finding out that it's really not over. There's more that needs to be done. And you find yourself, because peace, that thing that we strive for most of our life, peace of mind, we find that it's out of range. And basically it's because this person is still taking in oxygen on this planet, but still, you have gotten through worse things. Hey, T Pure Light, thank you for joining. I appreciate you. You've gotten through most things in your life. Why is this so hard? Don't you ask yourself that? Why do you still feel pulled? Why does this person keep holding space in your head? You want them going, but why? Why are they still there? As I've said many a time, the narcissist does this on purpose. Decades of perfecting this evil art of destroying empaths. They wear it like notches on their belts. This is the true meaning of bodies. All of the people left for doing nothing, left by the side of the road for doing nothing but trying to love someone that had never had the capability to love. It's not a concept that the narcissist understands. Even down to their children, they don't love their children. They don't love their family. Everything is just something they've created in their head. And each and every one of those, as I like to call them, constructs, what happens is they give these constructs a role. You, as a construct, got a role. There's these guys that do these videos on TikTok where they just run up to random people and they've got, the clapper and they've got the boom mic and they've got the, the gimbal with the camera, and they just bring these people into their they say, cut, all right, this is what we're doing, and the person is just like looking at them like, what the hell? And sometimes it's so strange is because sometimes these people literally try to play along, even though I have no clue what's going on. This is basically what the narcissist has done to us. They've given us a script. They haven't told us what even the name of the movie is. They know what the name of the movie is. The name of the movie is To Extinguish Your Light. Hey, Donnie, thank you for joining. That is the name of the movie that you just got drawn into. And then they take the clapper and they say, action. And you're trying to figure it out. What am I supposed to do? Everything that I do is wrong. Everything that I do doesn't meet your needs. Everything that I try to do to keep the peace, I can't seem to do. And the narcissist is they're sitting in their director's chair, looking at you. And you know what they're saying? That's the perfect take. You're confused. Thank you, Lordy. Thank you for joining. Thank you for liking the live. You are confused. And they love it. They love it. And they have a script writer sitting right next to them inside of their head, and they're changing the script constantly. They're not letting you know. They're not saying to you, okay, for this scene, I need this type of energy. No, for every scene, the energy that they need. I'm sorry, I got to return this comment. Thank you so much for your comment. The energy that they need is for you to feel unbalanced. And if you're experiencing the trauma bond, that's why they needed to do that. They need you to go throughout your life feeling unbalanced, because when you are unbalanced, what happens? Are you working from the best part of yourself? No. Are you going out there as an empath, as a chosen one? Are you going out there being of assistance? Are you? No, you're trying to figure out what's going on emotionally in your head. Everything that a narcissist does, they do on purpose. Your narcissist is no different than anybody else's narcissist. They're demons. If you haven't figured it out yet, they are demons. Only a demon can walk love that you're giving. They can see that this person is doing nothing but trying to love me harder. This person is doing nothing but trying to make me understand. And they take that realization and they say, good, now they can suffer more. Have any of you experienced this? I know there's only a few people over here and there's a few people over there, but have you experienced this? How did it make you feel? And at what point, most importantly, Lordy says yes. Most importantly, when did you finally decide to stop trying? Because that's what it's going to take. Good Shepherd says absolutely. You did nothing wrong. I will tell you this each and every time. You did nothing wrong. You did nothing that would ever, by any litmus of humanity, be considered wrong. You, in fact, did what most people would expect people to do when they feel they are in a relationship, give their all. But where did all these banana peels come from? Why do I keep on slipping? Why can't I regain my balance? Why can't I understand why I feel the way that I do in this relationship? Why am I losing myself? Who knows? Who understood the first time that they realized that they were losing themselves? That was the worst theft ever. The narcissist could do anything that narcissists do. I think that the worst crime that they committed was they eroded at your confidence until you forgot the core person that you were. You forgot who you were. That's the worst crime ever. For any person, not just an empath, but that is the worst crime ever, to lose yourself. You who have been put here to do something amazing, who have been put here to do something great, and then you find yourself that you don't know who you are because you're spending so much time jumping through hoops for this ungrateful demon. But if you decide, hey, what's up, Nartos? If you decide, and this is important, if you decide that today is the day, today is the day that I start reclaiming myself. Today is the day that I no longer think about this person. Today is the day that I literally enjoy the peace that I've gained from not being around them. Once you say today is the day, can I tell you? Can I tell you something? If you've made that choice, what? Just what? If I told you there's a way, because many of you don't think that there is a way. Hey, baby. Many of you don't think that there is a way out of it, but there is. There is. You just have to decide that literally this was an illusion. And it's hard. You feel it right here. Even as I'm saying it, some of you are cringing. How can I say that? Well, let's look at the reality of it all. Let's always put things on the plate of reality. You believe that you are in a loving, fulfilling relationship. Let me get this clear. Only you believe that. Do you feel? Very important question. I'm going to ask you 3 questions. Do you feel emotionally safe in that relationship? Because every fulfilling relationship, you should feel emotionally safe. You should be able to let that person know how you truly feel. That person should be concerned about how you feel. Do you feel emotionally safe there? Somebody just put something over here. Yes. Yes. Do you feel emotionally safe? That is the first litmus. Because if after the love bombing, after you left the theater, because essentially that's what you did, you left the theater. That's all the love bombing stage was. It was like sitting there watching your favorite movie. However, you soon found out that you went to see a rom-com, or you went to see a romantic movie, or you went to see a love story, and without the credits changing, and this is not a double feature, it soon became a horror story. And you're like, oh, you are running. You are trying to get away. And you're wondering, I bought a ticket to a love story. What's happening here? You are now the main character in a horror story, and you can't figure it out. You look down at your ticket stub. No, I was supposed to say love is supposed to feel this way. But now I have, there's a thing chasing a person through the woods. And this person is terrified. That's you. You're terrified because you're starting to see through the mask. You're starting to understand that this person does not want that fulfilling relationship. This person doesn't want you to have emotional safety. They don't. So depending on how you answered that question, okay, let's move on to the next question. Do you feel that this person has your best interest in mind? I think that we can all agree, we can all look at our notes and say, hey, in a fulfilling relationship, we should have each other's best interests in mind. We should want to see each other grow. We should want to see each other reach our goals. We should want to come together to become that power couple. Yes, I know that's what you felt while you were in that dynamic. During the love bombing stage, you found your perfect partner. You guys were going to take over the world. But again, look down at your movie ticket. That was literally an illusion. It wasn't real. And you soon found out because you're questioning yourself. Does this person have my best interest in mind? You're questioning yourself when you get a win. And as most people would do in a relationship, share that win with this person that is supposed to be your mate, that is supposed to be your fiance, that is supposed to be your husband, your wife, your boyfriend, your girlfriend. You want to share that. You want to share good news with them. But for some strange reason, a little bit down the line, you don't feel comfortable doing that because what does that do? They try to dismiss it. They show you that they're angry that you've accomplished that goal. You've given them a narcissistic injury. You must be punished. You soon find that the good news that you shared with them is not met with joy or happiness. It's not. It's met with punishment. All of a sudden, maybe a couple hours later, all of a sudden they're giving you the silent treatment. I thought we just discussed good news. I just got that promotion. I just got that raise. I just finished this book that I've been working on for the last year. I just finished the last page. But by the end of that day, what are you going to be met with? You're going to be met with dismissiveness. You're going to be met with the silent treatment. You're going to be met with, it's not a big deal. So now you're wondering, does this person even have my best interest in mind? Or worse yet, hey, what's up, Narcissistic? Worse yet, this is what's going to happen. Your win will now turn into a competition. Who does this in a fulfilling relationship? Oh, well, you finished your book? Well, I'm going to write a book now. We can't celebrate anything that you do. And there is a reason for that. The reason is because the narcissist must always be in control. The narcissist must always feel as if they are better than you. And does this make sense in a loving, fulfilling relationship? That's question two. You have to ask yourself that. Is it even fair to you? Because now you've got two things that I guarantee if you saw through the mask, you do not feel emotionally safe. You do not feel as if they have your best interest in mind. So far, the relationship, as the kids would say, is starting to look sus. It's starting to look suspect. Let's move on to question number 3. Do you feel like you're literally on a roller coaster? One moment, good times, you're feeling seen, you're feeling happy, you're feeling that they're finally starting to understand you, they're finally starting to get you. And then just as you're walking down the hallway, it's like someone takes the rug and just snatches it from up under you. And you go flying in the air and fall right on your butt. And this seems to be happening more and more. You can't put your finger on it, but it seems like every perceived good time is soon met with a real, emotionally felt, horrible time. Again, you're looking at your ticket stub. The love bombing stage promised you a love story. Now you're in the midst of a horror story. So we have these 3 things that you need to ask yourself. And once you get that through your mind, once you begin to understand that where you fit in those 3 dynamics, the next logical question is today the day that I retake control of myself, of my identity, of my life? Is today the day? You've got to make that decision. I can offer you every course, every free resource, free books. I can offer you anything, but until you take that first step that only you can take, walk forward and say, today's the day. Jazz, what's up? Today is the day. I'm done with this. I'm reclaiming myself. And before I let Narcissistic and Narc talk, so I want to say one thing. The most devious crime that the narcissist performed against you was making you forget who the hell you really are. Knock Talks, Narcissistic, how you doing? How you ladies doing today on this fine Monday?
I am
well. Okay. I'm glad you're here. You see I'm on my soapbox. Huh?
I said doing well, thanks.
That's
How's
good.
Everybody else.
I can't complain. I never do. Nobody really cares.
Can't, not gonna.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. I love
Don't get me started.
Oh, thank you for the repost, Jess. But yeah, I mean, how do you guys feel about today being the day for so many survivors? And I'll let you go first, Narc Talks, and then bring you on, Narcastic. By the way, I loved your live, Narcastic.
What are you doing?
What am I doing?
Sorry, I'm yelling at somebody who doesn't know how to drive. I didn't know I wasn't muted.
Okay.
Sorry, guys.
Not a problem. Go ahead, Narc Talks. What are you going to say?
That sounds like me. I feel like it is at an all-time high, the amount of ignorance and just buffoonery in this world. And of course, yesterday I went to a carnival, so don't get me started. That carnival energy. Oh
that brought back those memories.
Oh my God. I mean, angry parents yelling at the kids. I'm like, that's supposed to be a good time for your kids. Why are you you know, but everyone and the kids are spoiled. I mean, I don't know. And we just hung out on the outskirts after that. Like I made one trip in and I was like, okay, nope, this is not for me. Not for me. And it's like that's what we have to say. You know, it's all symbolic, I think, but we have to say, like, no, your carnival, your circus, not for me.
Yeah.
Because now imagine we take part in that. Like if I were to have gone into the carnival and ate all of nasty food and got on the rides, I would have been sick. We're making ourselves sick by participating in this hoax. It's a big hoax. It's a show.
Thank you, Narcissistic.
And yeah, it's to this lower level functioning. You know, and it's just, I don't know. I get disgusted by it, honestly.
Yeah.
You know, because like the energy there, it's not as like humans are designed to be, which is loving and compassionate and helpful and kind and all this stuff. It is the opposite. And you know, it's all about getting people's money from them.
Yeah.
And I think I did bring that up before, was that carny mentality where they're just trying to trick you into giving up your money, you know? And they're so slick about it. They'll pull you in with like, hey, don't you want to get your, you know, like, ha, ha, ha. And they seem so charming. And, like, you know, they'll even start out being like, you got this, Dad. You're going to win your child a big old piece of polyester. And, oh, we're so proud to play this game. Yeah. But in the long run, what ends up happening, and I've seen them play people with it, is they sorry, my son just opened the door. But what they end up doing is they pull people in and they psychologically break them down to the point where they're just like, and they'll say things like, oh, you missed that. That was an easy shot. Here, let me show you how to do it. You know, and it's a game. Yep. And eventually by the end of it, you've given up over all of your good energy, your spirit, your purpose.
And you're frustrated.
Your light. So yeah, it's time. It's time to put it aside and, you know, just live your life.
Yes.
You know?
And you know what? I love the way you actually, this is what many go through, is the same thing you said with the carnies. You know, the money being the supply. You know, the charm in the beginning when you first walk up to the booth, the charm, you know, making you feel safe as you continue to give up this money. This is supply for the carny. And, you know, it comes a point where the smart person, the person that has healed and has seen through this, knows to walk away. I can't win this game. But some of us in narcissistic dynamics, whether it be still in it or in the trauma bond, we keep on trying. We keep on having hope that we're going to win, as Nartok says, that piece of polyester that's not worth even 1% of the money that we've actually put down. 1% in the narcissistic dynamic, not even worth 1% of the emotions that we are given. And we are constantly giving up emotions that sometimes we don't even have for ourselves. We don't even have emotions left for ourselves. Many a survivor sits down, they're frustrated, they don't even have the emotions to cry because they are trying to figure out something that is making no sense whatsoever. And the reason being is because they're not sitting up there and saying, you know what, today is the day, I'm done with this. I don't care how it turns out. It may be a mystery. I may not have it all figured out, but I need to get back to me. I've been giving this demon everything that I have inside of me, and I've gotten nothing back. No return on investment. I've got to feed some of that energy back into me. So you have to begin to say, today is the day. No matter what stage you're in, today is the day. I admit to myself that I've been dealing with a demon. Today is the day I realize how important I truly am. Today is the day that I actually act upon the fact that I deserve better. Narcissistic, you still driving? I don't want nothing to happen.
No, I'm not driving.
Okay.
I'm in the store.
Okay.
It's my day off, so I have to run around like a lunatic to get all the stuff done that I need to get done. But I love the way that she, talks and compares it to the carnies because it's all about the con to them. And that's the part that hurt me the most is that they're con artists. And it hurts to wrap your mind around that they're everything that they said had no intention or feeling or emotion attached to it, and they conned us and our heart and our trust and everything else into them, and then tossed us away. They will set you aside like you're a piece of garbage or dirty underwear that they've had for 30 years that just they don't want to wear anymore or whatever. And that's the part that also hurts the most. So I'm with everybody else here. Today is the day. Just the problem is what happens is when they realize you're pulling away, they feel it because they're highly intuitive, and then they'll try to talk you back in and reel you back in. And he's being so nice today. Oh, is it possible for him to really change? He's trying so hard. He wants to go to therapy. They'll make up whatever excuse they can to stay in that trauma bond. So.
Yeah, thank you.
Because we're addicts.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that. Yeah, that's it. You're listening to people that have decided that today is the day. At some point, they decided today is the day. Go ahead and follow Narcissistic. Go ahead and follow Narc Talks because they do lives. I love this weekend Somatic Saturday Narc Talks. I really did. Thank you for doing that. And I like, the energy that you brought to your last live, Narcissistic. But you're dealing with people that have taken that first step. And I know it's like looking over a cliff. I get it because I've been there. Radical acceptance is literally like looking over the edge of a cliff and saying, well, they said there's a cushion down there, and I'm just going to have to take this step. Jess, thank you. Jess has just said, today is the day. Yes. You've got to, how many things, if you believe in a higher power, it's your faith that allows you to believe in your higher power. You have to have faith that you can get through this. You're an empath. How many things have you gotten through that you thought was impossible in your life? But for some strange reason, due to the brainwashing, due to the systematic eroding of yourself from this demon, you're scared to take that step. You're scared to admit to yourself this was fake. And I can tell you, for every person that I have spoken to, every live that I have given, every comment that I have seen on my post, there are so many people that just refuse to say, you know what, today is the day. Done, son. Today is the day. I deserve better. Anytime you are in a loving, fulfilling relationship and you have to ask yourself, do I deserve better? It's time to say today is the day. And Rocket Man Hero says, I've been practicing radical acceptance, and man, does it make the difference? Yes! Yes! That's the first step. Because everything else, it's like riding a bike and you just think that you got it down pat, but you look and the train wheels are still on. You're never going to be able to say that you can truly ride that bike until you take off of the training wheels. That's just the way it works. The training wheels are literally that little crevice in your mind where you're saying to yourself, hey, they were just stressed. Hey, maybe I was being too sensitive. Hey, maybe I should have loved them a little bit harder. Yet and still, we have all of the evidence in front of us. We do. We do. Whether you left, whether you're still there, they are showing us every day. Every day. I've been freestyling this whole time, but let me go back to my notes. Some of you are not exhausted because you are weak. Empath, you are not weak. You are exhausted because your nervous system has been trying to protect you while your emotions kept trying to keep unhealthy cycles alive. That's literally what you've been doing. You are literally putting your energy, just to, whether it's to keep the peace, whether it's because you're waiting for the next dose of dopamine, whether it's because you're just so stressed up, stressed out that, you just don't want another argument. What you're doing is you're picking up a pen, you're going in your mind and saying they're stressed. The kids drove them crazy. They just lost their job. You know what? No matter what stress that I've gone through at any part of my life, I never, it may be an empath thing, it may be a human being thing, but I have never taken my frustration to purposely make another person feel hurt. I've never done that. But this demon, they seem to do it without thinking about it, without caring. Well, without any regard to the person that is in a relationship with them. Isn't that strange? But yet and still, you're picking up the pen every freaking time when they dismiss you, when you want to talk to them about something, when you need to, hey, listen, what you just did made me feel a certain way, and I really don't like it, and they're telling you you're just being too emotional. What you're doing is you're picking up a pen and you're saying, yep, I was being too emotional. When is the perfect time to discuss anything that you feel is important with your narcissist? Somebody tell me, because I could never figure it out when I was in that dynamic. Something could be literally tearing me apart. There was never, ever a good time. Does anybody know what that time period is? Help me out here, because maybe I missed something. Maybe there was, I guess, golden time, or there was a time period where it was okay to tell your partner, the person that says that they love you, how you're feeling. Or to come to that person and say, you know what, I just lost my job. I don't know what I'm going to do. When the hell were they ever there for you? I tell the story about my eye. Okay, when I lost vision in this eye, there was never a good time to talk about it. It was tearing me to pieces. But that helped me understand something, because there came a point where I just said, you know what? There's no way in the world I can be in a relationship where this is it. You have to remember, I'm a creative. I'm a photographer. I know for a fact, this eye is gone. I don't have 3D vision. I can't, pinpoint colors. I can't do edits correctly anymore. I'm in a constant state of depression. This person made it very clear, yeah. Actually outsourced my pain. Told me maybe you should go find a therapist to talk to. This is what we're dealing with. And there came a point where I had to say, you know what? Instead of walking around how I'm feeling, instead of just to keep the peace, not bringing up how I'm feeling to my partner, maybe I need to decide that today is the day. Maybe I need to decide how I can get out of this. Maybe I need to decide, hey, listen, this person doesn't care. But you know what? At the end of the day, maybe there is someone that deserves the love and the compassion that I'm giving. Someone who understands that, hey, listen, we're a team. Maybe there's a person out there like that, but I'm not going to find them until I heal because I don't trust anybody. Because after dealing with this, has anybody dealt with that? Has anybody dealt with the fact that, hey, listen, this person really doesn't give two issues about what I'm going through? Is that a fulfilling relationship? Or is that something that you need to wake up, go in the bathroom, brush your teeth, and say, you know what, today's the day? And Rocket Man here says depression is a state of the psyche. Okay, I maybe you should go a little bit deeper into that. Um, it is a state. That part I do understand. However, we find ourselves when we're in these dynamics, the emotional roller coaster. We often find ourselves in a state of depression. This is why I always suggest to people: go ahead, get a therapist if you need it. Go ahead and let yourself feel that you are being seen. It may be in a clinical environment, but you're not being seen where you're at. And that is a very important distinction. You're not being seen. The whole life with the narcissist is feeding into their psyche, feeding into their needs to feel superior, feeding. Oh, okay, got you, Rocket Man. He says, of course, there's more to it, but I can't write it all. Yeah, that character limit, I get you. But yeah, so I keep on saying. So let me read something from Dr. Ramani. She frequently explains that trauma bonds are strengthened by intermittent reinforcement, unpredictable moments of affection, relief, validation, or calm mixed with emotional instability. Behavioral psychology research shows inconsistent reward patterns can intensify emotional attachment more powerfully than consistent reward systems. This is how you got hooked. And again, I tell you guys each and every time, this is done on purpose. The narcissist has not been spending the last few decades not perfecting this craft so that they could just wing it. No, this is a system to them. This is a system. This is a pattern. And they get their demons handbook and they just spend most of their life practicing it. For what? To destroy your light, to destroy the light of empaths. That's what they want to do. Ladies, is there anything that you would like to add? Because I'm on my soapbox today. I'm going to make some empaths decide to choose themselves today.
They are one-dimensional, and we are multifaceted. And you're just selling yourself short, staying in the dynamic. Yep. Because, like Minister said, it's all about them. They're the focus. It's their needs, their wants. Anything that you want to accomplish, they're going to make sure that you don't. They're going to share your dreams with you and be like, oh my gosh, yes, we're going to do this and that and own this business. And yep. You're going to get this certification and this, degree. And no, they're going to make sure that you fail because they're always competing with you. And they want you beneath them at all times, even if they're telling you differently to your face. So we're special, very beautiful human beings with huge hearts and the ability to love and love unconditionally. And we love them unconditionally. They just don't know how to do that back to us. And if you're willing to settle for less than you deserve and want to be destroyed, then by all means stay in the relationship. But I don't know anybody with, a sane mind that would choose that for themselves. The problem is a lot of us grew up rejected, and they know that, and the black sheep of the family, and the one that was bullied in school, and all of these things. And when they got to know us and they were data collecting, they got all of that information out of us. So they know how to take that information and utilize it to gain power and control over us, to put us on that path of destruction.
Definitely. Definitely. And Rocket Man, that's a conversation for another day because I do understand the whole flip side between empaths and narcissists. In fact, I've spoken about it often. However, we make a choice when we go through our trauma that we're not going to, as I like to say, pass the pain. So yes, and this is why narcissists are attracted to empaths. We are the flip side of the narcissist. The difference is that when narcissists make that choice, and I spoke about this last night, when they make that choice that they're going to pass the pain, their very physiology starts to change, actually in their brain. Certain things start to shrink, certain things start to grow. So I wouldn't utilize that we're recovering narcissists. I would utilize that we're dealing with our shadows, as Carl Jung would say. Um, so yes, we have to. And speaking of Jung, my favorite, Carl Jung believed people often avoid painful truth because confronting reality forces transformation. That's Carl Jung. So just to speak to what Rocket Man was saying, there are certain things, and I talked about this last night. There's going to come a point in your healing journey once you decide to date in your healing journey that you are going to know. Nobody's going to have to tell you. Nobody's going to have to whisper it in your ear. It's not in any of my courses. You're going to know that it's time to decipher what goes on inside of you, your shadows. Okay, and in a sense your mask. Okay, as empaths we wear the mask of over explaining. We wear the mask of actually just to keep the peace, moving back and ignoring our own feelings. We're always trying to keep the peace, so we have to figure out, okay, well, how did I get to this point in my life where here I am 30, 40, 50, 60 years old, and I still am over explaining stuff. I'm still giving people the benefit of the doubt, even though I understand that they don't deserve it. So yes, there is that part of healing, but you will never get to it. I hate to say this, until you decide that today is truly the day.
Can I say something regarding that?
Yes,
comment?
please. Go ahead. Go ahead, please.
I just want to say, I know I've heard people kind of going on about like we're all narcissists and stuff like that. But to the extent flattening the curve on a real spectrum, because it's easy to say that yes, we all have ego. Yes, we all have to do inner work, and we do find that there is inner work to do when we go through this spiritual battle. But to say that we all are in the same boat, that's kind of missing the point, because narcissists actually hurt people
on purpose.
So to say that we all are out here hurting others, that's a big claim to be making, I think. And yes, we all have inner work to do, but just to say that we're all narcissists, that's not really accurate. It's not. It's kind of
It's not. Thank you.
Or to say, and other people are saying, like there really aren't enough narcissists for this even to be an issue. Well, I've heard people say that. It's like, no, there's issues. These are real things that people are going through. And I know that maybe you've learned some things along the way about yourself, and I have too. I realized that some of the things that I've done were in a reactive abuse type thing. And I didn't want to see myself there. And then those people like us who actually go, oh, I don't want to see myself in this position, they make change in their life. Whereas the narcissist will not make those changes.
No. I thank you for that. Thank you for clearing that up. Thank you. Thank you. Anything you want to add, Narcissistic, now that you're back?
Yeah, sorry, I kept freezing up. I don't know what was going on, so I just restarted the app. No, that was great. Narc Talks, I love that share. And, people have to realize that when you're in that dynamic, the narcissist is literally consuming you, and you are being fused together. So, yes, some of their traits are going to be, part of that fusion is happening. but that doesn't mean that becomes who you are. Right. I mean, I literally undid all of that as soon as I got out of it. Mm-hmm. But that's part of what happens in the dynamic is their goal is to become you and for you to become them. And then they are going to unalive that version of themselves and then separate from you. It's wild when you study the psychology behind it, what they're really doing internally. Yep. But I understand it now. I don't know how to explain it any better than that, but that's literally what they're doing. They're becoming you. They're going to make you become them, and then they're going to separate from you through, ending the relationship. Yep. So it's not a pretty picture to paint for anybody who has given their heart to one of these beings.
And I don't care how many, if just 1% of the world was a narcissist, who's going to vote that someone goes through that pain? If you've gone through this, why would you even use a litmus of there's not that many narcissists in the world? If you had a choice and somebody said, you know what, hell is overcrowded, we've got to outsource some demons. Why don't you take one in your house? And that's the only one that's coming. Would you volunteer to do that? Think about that for a second. So you're looking at impact. You're looking at people that by default are not selfish, just by the way they act, by over-explaining, by giving of themselves constantly. You're looking at a gift from the universe to help us get back on track, as all empaths, as all chosen ones have done throughout history. Get us back on track. So your future is dependent on empaths staying focused, staying healed, staying within their purpose. And how can you decide, well, you know what, we can sacrifice that empath? You don't know what that empath's purpose is. You don't know if it's going to directly affect you. These are demons. The demons that we have been told about throughout history, these are literally these demons in human form. There is no one, I think someone earlier said, am I a narcissist? Any mental health professional will tell you, if you got to ask yourself that question, then you're not. The narcissist will want to make you think that you are just like them because it feeds into their superiority, where they can say to themselves after the discard, after they've done the destiny swap, where they're walking around acting like you because they felt that they took all of the great qualities from you and added to their fragmented identity. Okay, then they look at you at the discard and they say, see, I'm better than you because you're no different than me. That's why the reactive abuse it's not just to make you, paint you as a bad person. They need that from you. They need you to become emotionally unstable because by default, they are emotionally unstable. And people come into these lives all the freaking time, and it befuddles me because we go over the same conversations 99% of the time. We talk about the same thing. Everybody is in agreement. Yes, that's what my narcissist did to me. But yet and still, why are so many of us stuck in the trauma bond? Where's that ingredient missing? I'm going to tell you what it is, because somebody hasn't decided that today is the day. That's why the trauma bond lives. They're gone. Just like anybody that is caught on an opioid or something that is made from the cocoa plant and they figure, I'm assed out on life. There's no way I can't get my life back. I definitely can't take this whole withdrawal thing. People get through it. Do you know why? Because one morning they look at themselves, they take a snapshot of their life, they become disgusted at who they have become. They realize that they've lost their identity. You know what they do? I'm done with this. Today is the day. You just need to do the same thing. Because right now you've lost your identity. You don't like the person that you are right now. You're not happy in your life. You have no more peace. You're just like that person on the opioids, except that you're not going to the corner to get it or calling the plug on the phone to drop it off. This person just sits right there in front of you. And what they do is they give you that dopamine, which is actually the same thing that when you go to the plug It's the same process in your brain. You're just getting something to release dopamine into your body. This person is doing it on purpose. You're doing it on purpose. And you're sitting there figuring out, why can't I get this person out of my head? Yes, you can. All you have to do is say to yourself, today's the day. You know, in fact, if you're serious about it, go up. I haven't even put this up once, but I just thought about it. Go up to my services, okay? There should be like a little email thing. Send me an email and put in the subject line, today is the day. I am going to help you get through this if you're ready. If you are ready, if you're serious about this, it's summertime. What are you going to do? You're going to stay in the house in the fetal ball in the corner? It's summertime. Are you going to enjoy life again? It's summertime. Are you going to walk around with the whole world traveling around you and think that everybody's suspect because you had a demon in your life? If you're serious about this, shoot me an email and just put in it, today is the day. This is up to you. This is not up to me. It's not up to Narcastics. It's not up to Narc Talks. Because we woke up one day and said, today is the day. We realized that we are important. Our value is not based on another person. Our value is based on the person that we become. You are great. And you seem to have forgotten that someplace along the way. You have forgotten. No matter what this person told, people have been telling you things all your life that you have overcome. You basically put in the back of your head and said, that's your opinion. It has no relevance to my life. That's your opinion. Thank you for sharing it with me. And then you go ahead and you say, you know what? You know that finger. You know what? I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you what I'm made of. This is what I'm built for. And you went out there and made it happen. Why are you having such a hard time with this demon? Why? It's as simple as that. Today is the day. That's all you have to say. No, Talks, anything you want to add on to this? I'm sorry, because I'm all over the place today. Cray. I'm cray.
Yeah, I think it's also there might be one major movement where you're like, that's it.
Yeah.
I know what this is, and you start to see your life differently, and you start to value yourself from a place of, who, not underneath the storyline of the narcissist anymore, because they want to keep you in a place where you are part of their story, but you're being used as a pawn. And at some point, that's not serving you. That's not serving your purpose, because you're getting tossed about like it is like a roller coaster.
Yeah.
You're getting tossed about like, are you going to be there to validate the narcissist forever and ever and ever? And if you don't, then you deserve to be treated like an enemy, and also treated like you're a bad person. And underneath that spell, you have no control over your life. And until you decide one day, like, I am worthy of living my life and living my purpose, and you make that choice, a major choice on one day, but it's also, what I want to say is, it's also every single moment that you feel triggered into ruminating about the narcissist or being pulled into those same patterns that end up eventually leading you back to the same thing you're just trying to keep yourself out of. It's a trap. It's a mental trap, but as soon as you realize that this is what it is, then you start to make loving choices, which are based in sovereignty and self-autonomy. And you know what you want to do. Let's say you want to work on your fitness. You do things to work on your fitness, and that does include setting boundaries with a narcissist, because they're not going to want to see you doing things for yourself, and if you want to spend time working on a big project like Minister, you gotta set boundaries, and you gotta get them out of your head. You know, so anytime they pop up in your head, that's a chance for you to now say, oh, really? Okay, now I call my power back to me. And then you do something that reaffirms that you are in charge, which is, like, for me, it's just as simple as saying, I love you, I love you, I love you, over and over again until I feel that feeling dissipate, because it is a feeling in the body. But the more we become, like, in tune with what our body is saying, and we listen to what our body is trying to express, the more powerful we become.
True. I love that. I love that. No, I'm going to bring this Rocket Man. I'm going to bring you up here. I'm going to see what you got. But go ahead, Narcissistic. I'm sorry.
I love what you're sharing. Hello.
Hold on, Rocket Man. Let me see what Narcissistic has to say.
I love what she was sharing. It's so great. Like, and fitness isn't just about being, like, physically fit. There's so many different layers to fitness. There's emotional fitness, there's spiritual fitness, there's physical fitness, and all of those things are, you know, kind of fused into one. You should do all three, and not just one or the other. Right. And that's one of the hardest things, I think, for me, was self-acceptance, self-love, and all of those things, because we all want to be chosen by somebody. Like, we all have that need to be chosen, and we're not choosing ourselves in the process of that need. We are, and it has to come from within, and that's one of the toughest lessons I had to learn at my age, I think, you know, like, to figure that out this late. I wish I had been told this 25 years ago. Anyways, hi, Rocket Man.
Hi, good afternoon, guys. Thank you for having me up here. Good afternoon, Minister.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hope you guys are well.
Pretty good.
Great points that you guys put up. You know, phenomenal. And, you know, be proud of yourselves for the journey that you guys are in or have gone through or continuing to go through. It's amazing. I love to hear you guys talk, especially you, Mr. Minister. It's fantastic what you're doing. You know, the awareness that you're spreading. It's something that we all need in this world.
Thank you.
What I wanted to refer to, and I would like to go back to my comment, when I said, I'm a recovering narcissist, and so are you, right? Mm-hmm. Now, when you guys first heard that, I'd like to ask you guys a question to all of you. Was your first instinct out of emotion, or how did you feel, you know, in regards to that?
I saw it as a teaching moment.
Okay.
I'm trying to understand the question. He's saying, I don't understand. You're saying we're recovering from narcissistic dynamic, like a relationship. We aren't recovered narcissists. So what is that? You're saying, I am confused. Sorry.
Okay. No. So what I meant by that is, like, when I said we're on way, right? And give me 1 second. I'm sorry. My daughter.
No, that's cool. That's cool. Hey, while you get that together, I'm going to talk about Sam Batman and what he has to say. Just let me know when you're ready. Sam says one of the most damaging parts of emotional manipulation is the constant shifting of emotional rules. Survivors often begin doubting their instincts, over-explaining themselves, minimizing unhealthy behavior, emotionally bargaining with reality, disconnecting from self-trust. See, you were not confused because you were weak. You were confused because the emotional rules kept changing. And that's something that you have to think about in these dynamics is the playing field never stays the same. One thing that you do might actually keep the peace for half of the morning. You know, that same thing done the next day or said the next day might just garner narcissistic rage. So where's your baseline? You know, we find this a lot when we have narcissism in our work environments. Your manager, your director, the VP of your department is always moving the goalposts. Not in a way to just make the company grow, but to make sure that you never have a clear target to hit. You know, we often hear these stories online of how people are promised a raise if they hit this goal. They smash the goal. and then they're told, oh, you misunderstood me, or, you know, you didn't hear me when I said this also had to be done. So, you know, that's one of the narcissist's greatest tricks. They move the goal constantly, and what does it do? It keeps you emotionally unstable. You good over there, Rocket Man?
Yes, sir. I'm here now.
Okay.
Sorry, I was just letting you speak.
Okay.
So going back to what I was saying was, when I was mentioning that we are all narcissistic in our own way, how many times have, and a brief example is, how many times have I gone into a conversation and listened to somebody's story, right?
Mm-hmm.
And try to make it about myself.
One up 'em?
Or in that kind of way, try to implement myself in that way, you know,
Okay.
to make it about me.
Right.
So that's more specifically what I meant in that regards, you know.
Oh, okay.
If we look back, right, and this is just an example in regards to myself, is on how I did that.
Okay.
Then once I actually started really like understanding what that statement meant, you know, being narcissistic in our own ways, it's like we aren't to the drastic measure that other people are, but we all have a small amount or some amount of us of narcissism inside of us at some point in our lives, and acknowledging it and accepting it and knowing that it's there is a big thing that, you know, goes based off of everything that, you know, you talk about, Minister. And it's great. So within my journey, you know, I've realized that I used to do that very often.
Okay.
You
so
know?
Let me ask you a question real quick.
Yes, sir.
So basically, I understand where you're coming from. We have the potential to have toxic patterns. I tend to call them people that aren't raised right, where we do things. However, I tend to stick to the DSM-5. So I don't think, as an empath, or even if I felt I was a regular human being, I don't think that I actually hit 5 of those 9 traits. See, this is the way that I look at it. I kind of get where you're coming from, but the way that I look at it, and this was part of me understanding the hypervigilance that I went through when I first started healing. Everybody was a narcissist to me. You know, if you did like what you said, try to make the conversation about you, I would view you as a narcissist. That's not safe and it's not healthy. And you end up pushing people away. So I soon had to actually say, you know what, I'm not a mental health professional, but I can give people the benefit of the doubt, and I can do just like a mental health professional do, say you've got to hit 5 of those criteria. So I think, as Narc Talk said earlier, I think narcissist is a kind of very harsh word to use when you're just talking about people that just have a few toxic or bad or emotionally dysfunctional traits. We're not perfect, we're human beings. But I tend to stick by that 5 of 9. It makes my life easier and it keeps me from being hypervigilant. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, and I definitely see what you're saying. Yeah. And I appreciate that insight. I really do.
No problem. No problem.
I guess in the journey that I'm in, that I'm doing on a daily basis, is being grateful on a daily, you know, and understanding others, listening, you know, the acceptance of myself, of my own emotions, being aware of them, you know, and I catch myself that there's, you know, I'm not, like you said, we're not perfect. Of course not. Nobody is. Nobody ever will be. I think it's being consistent with our life and accepting our faults. And that's what I've learned on my own. You know, I've done my own research in regards to psychology. And I've been reading a lot of, you know, books lately and trying to really understand myself, right? Within that, I've also been understanding how others react, how others feel in certain situations, what emotion they might be feeling, you know? So my main thing is right now is like the focus on me.
Good.
To be, because everything that I am has already been there. Okay. It's just me not being able to open it. I'm 31 years old. I have 5 children.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
I have 5 children, you know, and it hasn't been, you know, like that long that I've been going through this. I've always questioned, you know, I've always been curious, like, why do I feel like this? Or why am I acting like this for years and years? And I just couldn't figure it out. And I always used to think, I need to change. Mm-hmm. Or people were, you know, or my partner would be like, you need to change this. You need to change that. Right. And I was always trying to please people. Or actually not please, excuse me. I was appeasing my relationship. I didn't differentiate appeasing and pleasing. Pleasing should be something you want to do, something, you know, like getting your wife flowers. That's something pleasing, or something nice for somebody else, just out of the want of you wanting to do it, not because it's going to make the situation better or the relationship better.
Makes sense.
And once I started kind of going more into detail with everything of within my relationship, my family, my kids, myself, and really looking at what was going on, I started to connect a lot of the dots. Mm-hmm. Reading, understanding psychology and how the human brain works, how emotions actually work, why those emotions are driven. And from there, it clicked. And that's like how you said, it's the want, you know, do you want to, you know? And I guess it's like all these years I always wanted to. I just couldn't figure out the resources, or I didn't have that strive at that time. But now, at this age, where I am at this point, I've took the time to really search and find it, you know? Right. I've done my own research, and I also go to a therapist lately.
Very good. I love that.
And when I first contacted the therapist, it was more of a cry for help, right? It was a cry for help because I didn't know what to do. Right. And then I remember I still called them. I set up an appointment. They didn't answer, and I left a voicemail. The next thing I know is I start going, you know, looking up things in regards to why I feel like this, and then psychology gets brought up, and I started doing more research and deep diving into it. And I get to a point where I'm kind of just doom scrolling into TikTok because, you know, my self-sabotage just kicked in. And for some odd reason, apparently my phone decided to hear me that day. And that's so funny how that works, because then I ran into a gentleman that started, you know, really explaining more in regards to psychology. Mm-hmm. And he taught me he's like, every day that you wake up, you know, tell yourself 3 things you're grateful for.
Yep. I love that.
And I was like, what is he talking about? From that point, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do that. I'm going to try and see how that makes my day go.
There you go.
I would wake up every morning. I sit up. Before I even look at my phone or anything, I don't even touch my phone. Yep. I stand up on my bed. I sit up on my bed, excuse me. And I tell myself 3 things I'm grateful for. It doesn't matter what it is, just 3 things. I'm grateful for the air I breathe. I'm grateful for my bed. I'm grateful for the pillow that I sleep on.
There you go.
3 things that I'm grateful for. And man,
it changes a lot. It changes
everything. It's phenomenal, like how a simple thing of just being grateful for anything in the world that you wake up to.
Yep, that's a great beginning, and I hope people are listening to that, because this is part of the process of remembering who the hell you are. You know, I think people need to spend more time Instead of focusing on the narcissist or the one that hurt you or the one that broke you, I think we need to take more time remembering who we were before we got into that dynamic. I kind of want to add this part because it's part 4 and I got it off. But still, radical acceptance is not weakness. It is emotional clarity. It means accepting patterns instead of chasing potential, protecting your peace instead of managing chaos, reconnecting with your instincts, and choosing yourself emotionally. See, many of you have spent years invested in your survival, especially with the narcissist, because it does become a battle for survival. You know, but what you can do is once you decide that today is the day, you would be surprised. And I think Rocket Man spoke to this, how the universe will just open doors for you. It's kind of like, that affirmation thing. Once you kind of put your mind to the fact that you're going to heal, you're going to find that doors are going to open. People are going to come into your circumference that can be of assistance. This has always been the way of the empath, of the chosen. You will be given the tools that you're needed. And some of you, whether you're looking at this at a clip or you're actually here, some of you will come to realize, I needed to hear this. These people are saying what I needed to hear, that I have to decide that today is the day. I have to decide that, I'm going to reclaim my identity. Because if you don't decide, who's going to decide for you? It sure as hell isn't going to be the narcissist. So who's going to decide for you? I've given you the litmus. I told you guys, if you send me an email, let me put this back up again. If you send me an email and you just put in the subject line, today is the day, I'll understand. I will send you resources. I will help you get through this. But you have to, I can help you for the rest of my life until you decide that radical acceptance and clarity is important. There's nothing I can do for you. You have to decide this. You have to make this work. Not talks. What do you have to add? It's too early to talk about your somatic Saturday, but we could.
Yeah, the somatic Saturday.
No, yes, somatic Saturday was awesome. Yeah, you can talk about it if you want.
Well, radical acceptance to me was to say that I need to look at my part in this dynamic and to reestablish or reset my old patterns. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a powerful move because you're taking control back and you're putting it back with yourself. And I think that a lot of people aren't ready for that yet. So there are a lot of people who do. They just want to talk about what happened to them, what the narcissist did, and I think that the next step out of this actual pattern is to go, okay, that happened to me. That was in the past. I'm taking charge of my life and I'm moving forward. And it's with all this great knowledge about what a narcissist is, what they do, how it hurt you. Mm-hmm. But taking charge of your own path means saying, I also did this to myself, which is really hard to express, especially when people have been through so much trauma. Yeah. It's really hard to say, well, it may come across as, well, you keep going back, because I've heard people say that to me, like, well, you keep going back to him, or you keep trusting that your mother is actually, on your side, mm-hmm. and look what happened, you know? So this was a hard lesson for me because I was in court when my lawyer said, haven't you learned your lesson yet? Wow. You can't trust your own mother, Yep. That was deep, Yep. And it's like, instead of bumping your head up against the same wall over and over again, you finally go, okay, that's enough. Mm-hmm. I'm worthwhile. I've been playing their game for far too long, and you just set the game aside and you move on with your life. Yep.
I love it.
So, and I think that the rumination is real. It can bring people right back in the same pattern, and that's what I think. That's where we need to be able to take power at, is in our own heads, in our own thoughts, in our own mind, and say, okay, what is this? Where is it coming from? And like, if it's just tension in the chest, which I'm talking about somatic now, if it's just a tightness in your jaw, you know, if you go, that's anxiety, and don't give it a personal story. You know, try to stop doing that, because that leads us along the trying to figure out what went wrong in that relationship. Right. Why are they this way? Why are they that way? You know, and just take the power back and do something that is going to let your body know that you are in charge, which would be like just taking a deep breath and a longer exhale to bring your heart rate back down center, and do things to help your vagus nerve, which has been under a lot of tension. So knowing what your nervous system is a big thing too, because once we can see that, oh, this is my nervous system patterning, you know, it's like, that's good stuff, you know. That's where we know the narcissist. Now we gotta know ourselves.
Yep.
You know, and like we could walk away from this just saying, well, I've just been dealing with a lot of people with dysregulated nervous systems, and it affected my nervous system, and then, but no, now I'm going to change that for the better.
Yeah. No, I love that. Thank you.
It could be that, you know, it could be where, okay, maybe they're not so narcissistic. Maybe, you know, maybe I had a role in it too, you know, maybe, I don't know, you know, but ultimately we're setting their game pieces down. Yeah, we're not playing their game anymore.
We're throwing them down. No, you're right. Gotta stop playing the damn game. Get out of it. Before I let you speak, Narcissistic, there's one, the Crow's calling. Thank you for joining. Says it's not always easy to make that choice. They are literally in two different realities. Yeah, the Crow's calling. I know that's what we've been talking about the whole time. This is the hardest choice ever. Mentally, if you're in the trauma bond, physically, it is the hardest choice. But at some point, you have to make the choice. At some point, because nothing moves forward until you make the choice. So I get it. That's why I use the looking over the edge of a cliff, hoping that someone has the safety net down there, you know. But you're going to have to take that leap of faith and decide that you are more important than this. Narcissistic, what do you got to say, Missy?
Oh, well, I have a question for Narc Talks on SC. Well, for everybody. So the rumination almost feels like it's involuntary at times, and for me,
what happened?
Sorry, I don't know what just happened. So the rumination seems to be involuntary at times, and for me personally, it hits me hardest like when I'm trying to go to sleep or my eyes are closed and stuff, and it almost feels like you're powerless over it, especially if you're like halfway into sleeping or whatnot, and I have to wake myself up and either, you know, do something to distract myself or turn something on or listen to something or whatever, because it feels almost like I can't control it. Does anyone identify with what I'm talking about? And I can go weeks without that happening, but when it happens, oh my gosh, it is like so annoying to me.
Well, you have to understand your mind. It's what your mind does. I mean,
well, I'm not thinking about this person at all. It's almost like subconscious, if that makes sense. You know?
I don't, but see, I like they will pop up. I spent years with them. Sometimes they'll pop up in a dream. Sometimes, you know, I'll be dreaming about my kids, and by default, they'll come in. However, I don't go down memory lane with the dream. In fact, I've gotten to the point where they'll just be like cornered off in the dream, and I'll go back to playing with my kids.
Right.
It's your mind is going to only, it's like a computer. It's going to react to the information that is fed. When you, like I always say, so I've told my mind that I really don't care about this person, thereby if their face comes into view, or if I'm on a computer and maybe I'm going through files and there might be a picture of them, it really doesn't bother me. I just close out the picture. You know, Google Photos is good with that. You know, they'll actually, even though I tell it not to show the picture, they'll find a way to show me the picture. But it doesn't bother me. So I think you just have to get to that stage where seeing them or having them come into a dream, it just doesn't bother you anymore. What are you gonna say, Narcos? She's not with
I just want to, personally, that happened a lot to me. That's why I talk about it. But just,
it's almost like it's demanding to be entertained, and I'm like, no, I don't want to entertain this right now. And it's so incessantly annoying.
It is demanding to be heard, and it's part of it's your body letting you know that this is a trapped emotion and it needs to be moved. So like when you said, I have to get up, I have to do something, that's perfect. You got to do something to change it. So, and it needs to be heard. Yeah. And just listening to it and say, okay, what are you trying to tell me? And listen to it. And it's the most compassionate thing you can do for yourself, even though you're like, I don't even want to think about this MFer. I know you don't. I've been there. I'm like, why am I, okay, what is wrong with me? Nothing wrong with you. It's just trapped emotion that needs to be moved. It needs to be moved. So, yeah. And like, for me, if it's in the middle of the night, this might sound weird, but I just rub my chest or wherever I feel it at. If I feel tension, I just rub it. And I try to tell myself, like, it's okay. It's okay to be at ease. It's okay to be at ease because it's real. It feels real. It's anxiety. It builds up and it does need to be moved. And I think you're in a good position right now to be that you can actually observe it happening. Like, that's power.
Yeah, it's almost like we interrupt this broadcast to annoy the crap out of you while you're trying to go to sleep. And it's like, no, I don't want to see this commercial right now. And you're trying to switch channels, and it just keeps coming on, and you're like, oh my gosh, stop it.
Try the demon emoji. It works for me. Try it. You get it. I mean, I think because I don't think I'm emotionally attached to them anymore. So I think that's out of my system. That again, that radical acceptance. Once I figure out that you didn't mean me any good or well-being, that why am I going to emotionally invest? That's part of the problem. We continue to emotionally invest in these people, even though we know the truth. That's why radical acceptance is so important. So, not saying that's your case. Maybe you're just working through something mentally. But 9 times.
Or energetically, they're thinking about us. I mean, I think energy has a lot to do with it too, because like I said, you could be in such a really great place. This person isn't even remotely on your mind. You're drifting off to slumberland or whatever, and this commercial comes on, and he's like, the person's like right there to bother you.
Yeah.
And it goes on for a few days or whatever until it goes away. But it's almost like you're receiving the energy of that person's thinking about you or whatever at that time, and then a month can go by before it happens again.
That could be it.
I mean,
you might have hit it on the nose.
I don't have the answers. I don't.
It could be them.
Yeah,
they're demons, so I don't know what their power base is except their playbook. So that little.
Yeah, it's like when you think about it's like when you think about a high school friend that you haven't seen in 20 years, and then they call you the next day. They felt you thinking about them. So that's what I think is happening in my case. But I could be wrong. I don't know.
If you do have a therapist, I would definitely.
I just want to say that I think that I used to be like that too, and I think that, and they probably are thinking about you, but also there is that gives them too much power over you. So I think that saying that they're influencing me from a distance, that is taking power. That's giving them more power than what they deserve. So like, even if that is affecting you, do something to change it and say, like, I would have to do things like call my power back to me and, be firm, because, and then think about it. If you think about them, then they're receiving that energy too.
Right.
So it's like I'm telling you, it's begging to be entertained. And I'm like, I'm not entertaining you, mofo. Like, get out of here. And I'll do whatever it takes to get that out of my head and away from me, because it's almost like sometimes it's like, it's like they're in the room with you. It's just like, I don't even know.
It's crazy.
Don't want it to happen continuously. So you do have to battle for yourself and your sovereignty and everything. For me, sometimes it's super easy, and other days I'm literally grinding so hard to get through the day.
But you're choosing to get through the day.
Feeling myself is one of those days. Today is one of those days where I'm just like, okay, I have to do this, and I still do everything, but it's like, it's really hard sometimes.
Well, that's the first step. Sometimes it is hard, and I got you. I got you on that. But you're choosing yourself. That's the important part. You're constantly, consistently choosing yourself, and you're not finding yourself drawn back in. And I get that. I get that whole pull thing, and what you ladies are explaining, I actually went through. The demon thing just worked for me. So, again, it helped me emotionally detach. But I would, if you have a therapist, I would discuss that with them and see what they come up with, because they know you probably a whole lot better than we do, and that might be something that would be cool to discuss with how your mind is handling everything. And you know what, guys, I do have to go, but I will be back on this evening. I want to thank everybody that's joined us. Send me a direct message or send me an email stating that today is the day, and I will send you resources, because there's a way to get out of this. You've been listening to people that have literally gotten free from this. Okay, so it's not impossible. You just got to be willing to take that first step. I'm going to see you guys hopefully tonight at 8. Yeah, it's 15:30. I gotta go. With that being said, I want to thank you all once again. I want you guys to stay powerful. I want you guys to keep healing, and I think we all do what we do because we love you guys. Have a great evening. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. And it won't shut off. It never wants to shut off for me.